MAVAKAGA.
All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're looking at a case that, honestly, when I first read it, I was like, whoa, okay, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, this one is definitely,
It brings up a lot of questions about, how the law works and also just human behavior.
Exactly.
So let's jump right in. This case comes to us from Secaucus, New Jersey.
Okay.
And it happened on April 10th, 2024. A 29-year-old woman named Annalisa was arrested for shoplifting at TJ Maxx.
Oh, okay.
But there's a twist.
Always a twist.
Yeah, like always, right. She claims to have kleptomania.
Oh, wow.
So that adds a whole other layer to this, doesn't it?
Absolutely, because, on the surface, shoplifting is kind of like, okay, we understand what that is. But when you bring in kleptomania, it's like, how do those two things work together, legally and just in terms of understanding her motivations and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What does that even mean for her case?
Yeah.
So we're going to try to figure that out today as we go through this police report.
All right, let's do it.
So first, let's just set the scene a little bit. What do we know about what happened that day?
So the police got a call from TJ Maxx. It looks like loss prevention. They had detained Annalisa, and when they were talking to her, she admitted to stealing stuff not just from TJ Maxx, but also from Marshalls and Walmart.
Oh, wow. So she was hitting all the spots.
Yeah, it seems like she was on a bit of a spree that day.
And it says here she didn't even have any ID on her when they stopped her.
Yeah, that's right. She didn't.
Yeah.
But the officers, they were able to figure out who she was eventually, and they watched the security footage to confirm everything before they officially arrested her.
So they did their due diligence there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So at TJ Maxx alone, she stole $222 worth of stuff. But then we got to add in whatever she took from Marshalls and Walmart, too.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't have those numbers yet, but obviously it all adds up.
Okay, so let's talk about the kleptomania part of this. She told the police that she's been diagnosed with kleptomania, and that's why she stole all this stuff. So can you kind of break down for us, what is kleptomania? Because I think a lot of people might just think, oh, it's an excuse to steal, but it's more than that, right?
Yeah, it's definitely more nuanced than that. So kleptomania is a recognized mental health disorder, and it's this really powerful urge to steal things, but it's not about needing those things or wanting to sell them or anything like that.
So it's not about the money.
No, not at all. People with kleptomania, they often feel really guilty and ashamed. Afterwards, they might even try to return the stuff or give it away.
Oh, wow. So they know it's wrong, but they just can't help themselves.
That's essentially it. Yeah, it's like this compulsion they can't control.
Okay, so that brings up the legal question then, right? If she really has this condition, does that mean she's not responsible for her actions?
That's the tough part, right? Because like you said, she broke the law. The police report cites the New Jersey law against shoplifting, and that's pretty clear cut.
Yeah, it says 2C.111B1, which basically means you can't just take stuff from a store without paying for it.
Right, exactly. But the fact that she has this mental health condition does complicate things. It could potentially change how her case is handled and what kind of consequences she faces.
So it's not a free pass, but it's something the court has to consider.
Absolutely.
There's also this other charge in the police report that I was curious about. It says possession of burglar tools, 2C.55A1.
Oh, yeah, that one.
What does that even mean in a shoplifting case? Was she carrying around a crowbar or something?
No, not necessarily. It could be something as simple as a bag lined with foil to try and block those security sensors,
Oh, really?
Yeah, anything that can be used to help someone steal can be considered a burglar tool in this context.
Oh, that's interesting. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, it can be surprising what they consider under that law.
Okay, so going back to the kleptomania, how does that play out in court? How do they even prove that someone has it?
It's not easy, that's for sure. It usually involves bringing in psychologists to evaluate her, looking at her history with the condition expert testimony, all that kind of stuff.
So it's not just her saying, oh, I have kleptomania, and then they're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
you're free to go.
No, not at all. It has to be a pretty convincing case.
And what happens if they do believe her? What does that mean for her sentence?
Well, it could mean a lot of things. The judge might order her to get mental health treatment as part of her sentence, or maybe she'd be put on probation with specific conditions to help her manage her kleptomania.
So they're trying to address the root cause of the behavior, not just punish her for the crime itself.
Exactly, yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, it seems like if they don't address the kleptomania, she's just going to keep stealing.
Right, it's like a cycle that needs to be broken.
So ultimately, does this mean she's not responsible for what she did?
I don't think it's that simple. It's more about recognizing that there are these underlying factors that contributed to her actions and figuring out how to balance accountability with getting her the help she needs.
Right, so it's not black and white. It's more like shades of gray.
Exactly. Yeah.
This case really makes you think, huh? It's like, where do we draw the line between mental health and criminal behavior?
For sure. It's one of those things that's hard to answer definitively, you know?
Hmm?
Every case is different, and there's always going to be that tension between wanting to hold people accountable for their actions, but also recognizing that sometimes mental health plays a huge role.
It's a tough conversation to have, but an important one for sure. And Annalise's case brings all these issues to light.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
No problem. It was a really interesting case to discuss.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. And if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel.
MAVAKAGA.